Boston, 1970s. A city in the grip of fear, where organized crime ruled neighborhoods, and one man seemed untouchable. His name? James Whitey Bulger. The ruthless crime boss who not only ran the streets but also managed to outsmart the FBI for decades. How did a gangster become one of America's most wanted men while living right under the government's nose? Stay with me, because by the end of the story, you'll see how corruption, violence, and betrayal collided to make Whitey Bulger a legend in the underworld, and how justice finally caught up with him. Whitey Bulger grew up in South Boston, a neighborhood toughened by poverty and crime. As a teenager, he was already robbing banks and serving time in federal prison. But prison didn't scare him, it hardened him. He earned his nickname Whitey for his blonde hair, though he hated it, preferring to be called Jimmy. By the time he returned to Boston in the late 60s, he was ready to take over the underworld. He joined the Winter Hill Gang, an Irish-American crew that ran loan sharking, extortion, and gambling rackets. But Bulger was different from most street thugs. He was calculating. He studied rivals, built alliances, and knew when to strike. And while bodies piled up around him, no one could touch him. Or so it seemed. Here's the shocking twist. While Whitey was running his gang, he was also secretly working as an FBI informant. His handler, Agent John Connolly, was from the same South Boston neighborhood. Connolly idolized Bulger, and in return, Bulger gave the FBI information on rival gangs, especially the Italian mafia. This dirty deal gave Bulger power. The FBI looked the other way as he eliminated competitors. Reports of murder, extortion, and drug trafficking were ignored. Imagine this. The very agency meant to stop organized crime was protecting one of its most violent leaders. For over 20 years, Whitey Bulger played both sides. Gang boss on the street, informant on paper. To keep control, Bulger ruled through fear. He was ruthless with anyone who crossed him. Rivals, witnesses, even former allies. Victims were buried in basements or marshlands, their bodies found years later. Families were left terrified, knowing even the whisper of betrayal could be a death sentence. At the same time, he poured money into legitimate businesses, blending crime with respectability. On the surface, he was the man who handed out turkeys at Thanksgiving. But behind closed doors, he was orchestrating murders, extortion rackets, and drug pipelines. Boston knew his name, but no one dared speak it loudly. And still, the FBI shielded him. The deal seemed unbreakable, until it wasn't. By the 1990s, whispers of corruption within the FBI grew louder. Internal investigators began digging, and what they uncovered shocked the nation. An unholy alliance between Bulger and his FBI contacts. When federal prosecutors prepared to indict him in 1994, Agent Connolly tipped him off. Whitey Bulger vanished. Just like that, the most feared man in Boston slipped into the shadows. For 16 years, he lived as a ghost, traveling under false names, carrying bundles of cash, and hiding in plain sight with his longtime girlfriend, Catherine Gregg. Bulger became one of the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives, second only to Osama bin Laden. Posters plastered airports, his face broadcast on America's Most Wanted. Still, no one found him, until 2011, when a tip led investigators to Santa Monica, California. There he was, 81 years old, living in a modest apartment under the alias Charles Gasco. Inside, agents found 30 weapons and more than $800,000 in cash. The crime boss who once ruled Boston with blood and fear was led away in handcuffs. In 2013, Whitey Bulger stood trial for 31 counts, including racketeering, money laundering, and 19 murders. He was convicted on most charges and sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms plus 5 years. In 2018, at the age of 89, he was brutally killed in prison by other inmates. His story is more than a tale of crime. It's a warning about corruption, loyalty, and the cost of unchecked power. For decades, Whitey Bulger fooled the system. But in the end, justice, though delayed, had its day. What do you think? Was Whitey Bulger's greatest weapon his violence, or his ability to manipulate the FBI itself? Share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe if you'd like more stories about the most unbelievable true crime cases in history.